Hey laser friends, Bale here with another design break tutorial. Today I'm going to show you guys how to actually design a really simple arch frame with a stand. Now we're going to use Kerf, and I absolutely hate Kerf, but it is so simple to be able to do this. So I'm going to walk you through the super easy way to create the actual arch, and then I'm going to show you how I usually make a stand and what we do to make sure that it fits perfectly in place. And once you're able to design this, you can use this for so many things. I use these for QR code signs. I use these for birthday party signs. I use these for so many different things. You can even turn this into a picture frame. Once you get the concept of how to design the frame, you can add so much to it to make it your own. So let's jump right in. All right, so we are here in Illustrator, and the very first thing we're gonna do is go over to the shape tool. I'm gonna right click on the shape tool, and that's gonna give me all the options for the shapes. We're gonna click on the rectangle tool, and I am just going to click and drag. Now, if you have a specific dimensions that you need it to be, then all you need to do is click and then put in your dimensions here. But because I'm just kind of walking you through the tutorial, we're just going to eyeball it here. Okay, so once you create the shape, you're gonna see these little circles over here, and we are going to want to round the top circles only. We wanna leave this part completely exactly how it is, because this is going to be where our slot is going to be, and so we want to make sure that we don't mess with that. So in order to round just the two circles, we're going to make sure that we have the direct selection tool selected, and that's A on your keyboard, and then all you do is you select one. You're going to see that as soon as you selected it, it turned a darker color. It's like filled in. Then you're going to hold down Shift, and then you're going to select another one. So now you'll see that the two top are selected and the two bottoms are not. And then all you do is just pull it in. This is like my favorite thing ever to do. So pull it in, you can make it whatever shape you want, but that's essentially how I make that arch shape. Okay, all right, so now that we have the arch frame done, let's work on that base. So what I usually do for the base is I kind of imagine how big it's gonna be below this arch. So all I do is grab the rectangle tool and I sort of just draw something like that, right? And so now I'm kind of imagining that that's how wide it's going to be. It's going to be a little bit wider than the arch, but we really need to focus on what this slot size is right here. Okay, so let me just take that fill out of here. We want these to have empty fills, so I'm doing that right here. Okay, so you can now decide to have your base be a rectangle. I usually like to round in my corners just a bit, just to make it a little prettier. Okay, but here's what really matters. Now, this is where we probably should have perfect dimensions so that we could use those dimensions, but that's okay. You can still get these dimensions by clicking on the transform tool, and it'll give you exactly what the dimensions are of that width, which is what we want. If you can't find your transform tab on the control bar, then all you're going to do is go to Windows, click on Window Properties, and it's going to open up your property panel, and you'll be able to see the dimensions there. But I'm going to click on Transform. I'm going to look at the width, and this is where I'm going to select it, and I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to go back to my rectangle, and instead of just drawing the rectangle, I'm going to click. I'm going to paste the width that I had just copied, and we want the height to be the material that you plan on cutting this arch with. So I'm going to have my arch be cut out on 1/8 of an inch material, so that translates to 0.125 of an inch. And now we've got this slot that is going to be perfect right here. Now, we haven't adjusted for kerf yet, and if you don't know what kerf is the amount of material that gets removed from your cut as your laser is cutting it. So we have to account for that, because if you put that arch piece into that slot, it's just going to slide all the way through. And if you want it to have a really nice snug fit, then you do need to account for the kerf, which means you're putting back some of that space that has been cut away. So we're going to do that in a second. Now, what I typically do is I just make sure that this is completely centered on this base. So I'm just going to highlight over both of these. We're going to go over to the align panel right here. And there's this fancy button right here in the middle that aligns horizontally and vertically, and so I'm just going to click that and it's going to pop that right in the center, and that's exactly what we want. So now what we're going to do is add back that kerf into this slot. So what happens when the laser goes through and cuts this entire slot, it's actually going to make it a tad bit bigger than it actually is. So we actually have to make this slot size a teeny tiny bit smaller so that when the laser beam goes over this line, once it removes a little bit of that material, it's still going to be small enough to fit that base in it. Okay, so the way to do that is you need to account for the kerf of your particular machine, but I know that my machine's kerf is 0.01 of an inch, so I'm actually going to remove that from this slot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to transform, and the height over here, I'm going to remove 0.01 from this number. So that's going to make it 0.115. And so you'll see that as soon as I hit enter, this, you can't actually see, but as soon as I hit enter, this kind of like shrunk it a tad so that when I cut this slot out with the laser, this is going to fit so beautifully snug and it's not going to go anywhere. So hopefully that makes sense to you, and this is going to help you moving forward when you create cute little arch signs with your laser. All right, friends, that is it for today. If you like this kind of tutorial, please like and subscribe this video so that you can be notified for our very next design break tutorial. Okay, thanks friends, bye-bye.